Guess you wonder where I've been.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Archivists. I'm Rage, as you know, and we have Saint.
Hello, and today our special guest is Destiny. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself a little?
Yes. So my name is Destiny, and I'm a communications major, second year, and my educational focus is media, marketing, advertising. But I currently do work in marketing and just transfer info for my college. But my career focus would be in Web3, digital arts, NFTs, cryptos, that kind of thing.
Yeah, which is like really interesting because, I mean, even though like NFTs and cryptos has been around for a while, I don't think I've ever like had like a good grasp of it. And just like, I guess I'm just now connecting the dots that NFTs is like kind of a creative medium people can go into.
Yeah, so a lot of people, I know there was like a really big blow up in like 2020, 2021 about like NFTs. Everybody was trying to get into it, but not everyone really understood it. So people believe it fell off. Like whenever I speak to people about it, they're like, oh, NFTs, because people don't really talk about it anymore. So like most people assume like the field either failed or it's just not as popular. But really it's been growing. It's kind of like one of those things where the mass media or a majority of people fall off of it, but the community is still growing within people that are building it. And essentially, NFTs are minted artworks. Um, they go beyond artworks, but that's like the most known form of an NFT. So just like money has value, artwork, physical things like houses, cars can also be minted to have worth. So that's essentially what an NFT is.
In like past episodes, we've talked about like having a creative mindset and have like a business kind of mindset and like how you kind of entangle those together. Would you say like with the field you're in, that's kind of like the perfect space to have both?
Yeah, for sure. It's always smart to have business background just to know what you're doing in any space, but especially in a field like this, it's always good to have some level of creativity since it is a very free thinking field, like a very free field. You can turn anything into art. So for me personally, mixing creativity and business and balancing the two is important because I am running a team of people that are putting my creativity into action. So I myself am not building my creative artworks or my creative forms within my business, but we do have people on the businessy side that can balance out like, or I guess put our ideas into our business physically. So I'm creative. I would give this person my thoughts on what I want to do with the project, and they'll create the physical form of it or the digital form of it. And then we also have people on our business side who will mint that and get that either patent or get a what's the word for it? Like a I guess a license to own that thing. So even if you are creative, you still need to have a business background or a business person on your team to fulfill that goal. So if that makes any sense.
I think we want to touch on like collaborating with others and what it looks like kind of being like a lead of a team, because that's something you do, right?
I would say when it comes to leading a team, making sure that the team is kind of um, that the idea of what you want to build is kind of known amongst the team. And so we all have a focus. So even if someone else comes from a different kind of creative background, let's say they come from a physical art background, um, and now they're doing digital art. So collaborating those strengths and those strengths and using them to create one thing, I think is important. So even if people come from different creativity backgrounds, there's always a way to conjoin those things and create something new. But I would say just making the focus known amongst the group is the most important part when it comes to creating a team when
Yeah.
coming up with creative ideas.
Yeah, totally. Me and Rage have talked about it a lot, about how like it's really important to not only communicate with each other, and like even if there's like more than just another person, it's like a team of like 3 or 4, to communicate structure most importantly. And I think that's something me and her have been doing a trial and error kind of thing.
Getting involved with people that with different people that know a lot of different types of mediums to create something is something we've talked about in our older episodes, and we found that it's really, really important, at least within the creative world, to have a plethora of different types of creatives. So regardless of whatever project you're doing, we find that it helps have, just people with different perspectives and different types of mediums, because that's, more often than not, when you do it that way, you have like a really interesting end product that you may not have thought about in the beginning. Sorry, I know I'm just yapping, but like I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But
It's like,
no, go ahead.
no, I didn't cut you off. I was gonna say, yeah, usually people who are proficient in like different mediums of creating, I guess, not only do they understand like how important it is to have foundational skills, but they're proficient in like a specific thing, they have a very specific perspective. And with any kind of group, even like outside of just like the creative collaboration kind of thing, it's important to have differing perspectives, differing work outcomes. And it really just starts a conversation of like, how do you work with people who are different than you? And I think that's become like a really big conversation in today's generation. I was just gonna say, like, overall in the past, like, it's also been like super important, but I feel like it's only been important for people who had the resources. But now, because a lot of things have moved to like online, and you can start collaborating and networking with people just through like your phone or your computer or whatever, although you might not have the same resources as people who are able to afford those, you're still able to kind of apply the same rules with that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I would definitely say that the use of not even just social media, but just digital platforms really can bring people from opposite opportunities together. So, for example, when we first started out with our Web3 business, we have characters in our business. But since I don't have like a digital art, or I didn't have a digital art background, and neither did my business partners, we turned to platforms such as Fiverr. And they have a range of like prices that you can pay for their services for. And even if you don't have a digital background, you can still create a digital art. And you can still create a digital business such as NFTs or crypto and things like that without actually having to have that skill set. So just having those connections or knowing those things, you really don't have to put a price on it, because you could find someone who can create these characters from as little as $20 up to $800. So I think we've definitely come a long way with collaborating with different kinds of people, just people from totally different backgrounds than yourself. It's really amazing how accessible these things are now, rather than what they would have been a few years ago, decade ago.
And we talk about that also a lot. We find a lot of these topics just keep reappearing in our conversations, and it's interesting to hear about it from different perspectives still. And I wanted to ask you, what are your like experiences with like networking, business wise, or in any way really? Like, what are your maybe like what you've learned through networking, and things that we should know from your perspective as somebody involved in business? And feel free to like go off on a tangent, like we or just wanted to start from there.
Mm-hmm. So I would say my experiences with networking have been interesting. So I would say the very first person that I'd ever networked with was my uncle, like
Yeah.
at the age of 12. So he's always been into business. He's always tried out different fields. He's now really focused in on crypto and like Web3, AI, things like that. So he was the very first person and really the person I go to for networking connections. But for example, last month he invited me to this private Zoom meeting where this foundation, this really popular foundation of crypto philanthropists, gathered, and they had a what is it called? A presentation, like a panel, where different people in tech, CEOs, presidents, founders of different tech companies all got a chance to speak about the field, a chance to speak about what they were doing, where the field is
Yeah.
headed in general. And what I really liked about this meeting is that before everything started, people put in their emails, their personal cells, um, the businesses that they own, the fields that they're in, and everybody just swapped information. And throughout, as people joined and left, you get to meet different CEOs. They put down their email. I mean, and these are like personal cells, personal emails. So it's not like business ones where you have to wait a few days for a response. So I thought it was really interesting how through him, I'm able to access these people through a private Zoom call. So, and through knowing these people, even if you aren't in the same field as them, like I said, you can always find a way to kind of connect your creativity or what you're doing with your creativity to someone else's or to someone else's business or thing that they're doing. So, for example, ours is a nonprofit NFT Web3 kind of business. And so we tied that with this guy who was giving out. He was funding different people's projects, but his main focus was crypto. Now, for us, our payment system is through crypto, but we found a way to kind of twist what we were already doing to fit what he was willing to give. So he was willing to sponsor us 100,000 for our business, and he said, like after it launches, I'll take a look at it and I'll see what we can do. But the way that we twisted it was that per every per every few units that we sell, a percentage of that will go towards his cause. And so he's kind of getting a share of our business through funding us. So it was kind of like a win-win situation for the both of us, like an investment of sorts. But it was just interesting how you can just take tiny bits of what you're doing or something in whole. If someone likes your idea in general, you can take that thing and kind of make it fit into any situation. So I think that's what I love about networking, because especially in a field where everyone's doing something similar, you can always find a way to make those puzzle pieces match. But yeah, I would say with networking, it's infinite, really, just because of that. You can always make something work. Just sorry, that's what I would say.
There's this TED Talk I was looking into when I was talking about like coffee dots, and basically I can't explain it as well as he did, but every time you meet someone, like you try to make that like a business connection or like a network connection, and not necessarily just for yourself. It could be for like anyone else you know. So for instance, if I ran into someone who is, you know, well known for sponsoring like small businesses or whatever, I could go to my friend who has a small business and be like, hey, the other businesses that he's sponsoring are similar to yours, and like connect them together. And it's just like connecting the dots over like a cup of coffee. That's why it's called coffee dots. But I was gonna say, like, I maybe in the past like 3 years, the biggest lesson that I've learned is like networking is so insanely important, and not just in a way where it's like you're trying to promote yourself or whatever, but like you're genuinely interested in like what the other person is trying to do. And it could be like, oh, I'm really interested in what you're doing, and I'm gonna like go ahead and like support in like ways I can. And that could be through like if prompted, like through constructive criticism, through support with like financially or something like that. But there was something that I wanted to ask. How, like, you said that someone was sponsoring you and your team's like business and stuff, right?
Mhm.
How, if you were to give advice to like a smaller brand looking for sponsorships, what would you like tell
That's a
them?
good one.
I would tell them to look at themselves as a demographic. So I know for me, what really helped me was to find women in tech because we are a minority. It's a man-dominated field. So finding women in tech and through that connection, women will want to help you just simply because you're a woman, a young woman in tech. So I would say to find someone just like you and get connections through them, but also to put yourself in spaces that relate to what you're trying to do. So, for example, my uncle invited me to this tech event in Canada, which he knew that a lot of Black women in tech, women of color in tech would be at. And so I wasn't able to make it, but through that event, you can meet people that are just like you that are willing to help you. And through that, you can extend your networking. I would also say to, even if you can't go to large events like that or go to private Zoom meetings, to find an individual person. That's why social media exists. I would say to use your tools. So through social media, find people, I mean, either on Twitter, Instagram, Discord, TikTok, anywhere, to find people that you can relate to and to play your demographic to your advantage. That can be age, that can be, what is it, economic status, that can be ethnicity. Um, you are many things as an individual, and I would say to play at those, use those to your advantage. It's the
Yeah.
small things. You don't always have to find huge events. It can be just an individual person. It could be someone you randomly meet on the street. I would say to just proposition yourself in an effective way.
Yeah, that is
That's
really, really
good. Yeah.
smart. And I've always thought about doing that, but I wasn't sure how to go about it. And what I mean by that is like the logistics of it confused me a bit, and they still kind of do, because I'm not sure whether I should just shoot them an email or like a DM or how to even word.
All the connections I've made are through like the archive community. And what I kind of notice is I try to reach out to people who either have like super unique pages and like they're just like, I don't know how to explain it. They're just super unique and like personalized pages, or just pages that I see that are like the algorithm is picking up. But what I did was, because this podcast has like a team of 4 basically, and the 2 other people who are behind the scenes who help us with stuff, they have bigger pages than us. So what I was like, hey, you guys have bigger pages than us. Can you contact them?
Oh, I remember. Now I remember.
And stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then we set up a call and we talked and so on and so on and so on. But usually what I do to connect with people online is, and I'm not doing it in a way where it seems manipulative, but like I'm genuinely interested in what people do, and I want to see like what, you know, their future looks like to them, and like if they have like potential to like be something that I can help out with, or they can help out with me and stuff. So I'll go ahead and like I'll ask them advice about something that I think they'd be interested in answering. But at the same time, if I'd be interested in answering,
So I was gonna ask, that makes me wonder a little bit.
wanting to listen.
Oh, sorry. Did I cut you off? I
Yeah,
was
go
gonna
ahead.
say
No,
that
go ahead.
it was delayed, but I was gonna say that it leads me to wonder a little bit, what's your opinion on reaching out to people who are like big names, or I guess really well established people early on? Do you think that, of course, I don't think there's any harm in asking, but do you think that it's worth it to ask? And if it is worth it, how would you go about asking? Because as a startup, you know?
So this is actually like this is a challenge for me because I work with my uncle, but he more so provides the team for me, and I kind of
Oh, I
direct
see.
it. But he does assign me goals.
Oh, okay.
So he assigns me project goals. So when I first started out, like first few days of creating this business, he said, I want you, your goal is to make $10,000 within the first month. And then within the first 3 months, I want you to have a deal.
Oh my God.
Like, and I
Wow.
looked at him and I was like,
Were you able to though? Were you able to meet it?
I was like, and I think my biggest setback was mental borders. So I kind of put myself in a mindset of like, well, I'm just starting out. I'm not big enough, or I haven't made any sales, or the business isn't even complete. Why would I even reach out to them? But just the fact that he gave me that goal, and I thought he was crazy. I thought he was just talking, but he started an AI business. So he has many tech businesses, but one of the things that he started was an AI business, and he reached out to BMW.
Oh.
And I was like, that's interesting because he just started it up. 2 months after he started his AI business, he got a deal with BMW.
Wow. That's amazing.
So I would say
That is so cool.
Yeah, so he I think Tesla is one of the only car companies that have an AI system used to modify or personalize design their vehicles digitally before purchasing the vehicle. So my uncle created a similar database for BMW. So now people can design their cars, the features they want on it digitally. They can do it through an AI system, and then go purchase the car either with crypto or with normal currency. So he created that database for them and is currently partnered with them. So I thought that was just really amazing.
Yeah.
And that particular business of his was new. It was small. It's not a big medium. So that really inspired me to, even as a small startup, shoot for the stars. Like, as long as you have a solid foundation, and even
Just
if you
try.
don't
Yeah.
fake it till you make it, get there. Get there. Just try it. So
Yeah.
I would say reach for it. Do not hesitate. Don't stop yourself from doing big things. Just because
Yeah.
the name is big, it can be intimidating. And I know for me, it felt like, well, I'm not there yet. I'm not at a point where I could partner with them successfully or they would even notice me. But if you have a good idea, you can take it in. They may fund you to take this project or just build upon this project until it is at a place where they would want to partner with you. So you never know. There's many opportunities out there. So I would say, to answer your question more simply, go for it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I've also realized, mostly in the past few months, is everyone has like an idea they want to build off of, right? Everyone has like this business that they want to do. But I realized like the difference between someone who's successful in it and who isn't successful in it is the successful person tries to go and talk to people with experience, tries to network, and tries to get help from people with experience and not just try to do it by themselves. So it's like, and I think the reason why I haven't gone to like bigger people is because of like that mental block. I'm like, well, what do I have to make them interested in me? Like, what do I have to show for? And I don't really have that much. I haven't done too much, you know? So it's like I've been holding off and trying to do the most and build up like this creative portfolio, and kind of prepare myself to do that. And I don't know.
Well, I will say that just watching my uncle over the years as a child, I was like, this man is crazy. Like, so what he would do, no, literally, I'm like, you're bold. I would never have that kind of confidence to go into a situation knowing that I don't have the skill sets to do this thing, but still promising someone that I can. So something he taught me was, if you're giving an amazing opportunity, go for it and learn along the way. Tell them, I can do this
That's what
thing
I'm saying.
successfully.
That's what I'm trying to.
And after they give you the money, you better work your butt off to learn
I
this
like
thing
your
and
uncle,
do
bro.
it.
I
So I
like
would say, even if you
Bro,
You would love him. I need to get him on one of
bro,
these. You guys would love him. I'm gonna try to get
like,
him
okay,
on one of these.
can I just say something?
I am.
This is what I've been trying to get to understand, and I wanted you to say it, and I was saying it, and I was like, fine, we can disagree. I don't know if I told you we can disagree. I just left it. But I was like, there is no harm in asking. There's no harm in just putting yourself out there and just doing it. Even if you don't know, I've seen entrepreneurs do crazy stuff. They learn as they go.
After.
That's the business mindset that we were talking about. I don't know if you remember, Rama, like entrepreneurs have this unique quality about them that allows them to just figure it out. Like they just figure shit out. Like they're just so good at it. And you can develop that. That's the best part. Like you can always develop that kind of a mindset. So I'm so glad that you said that because it was just so encouraging.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Actually,
like
I suffer from those mental blocks sometimes.
For like the first 2 months, I do as well. I try to learn from him, but I feel like he's so overly confident in himself, but I admire that he can always back it up.
That's
like,
a really amazing
okay,
quality
you're just
to have.
talking, but then he shows me, and I'm like, okay, yeah. Like when he said, "I need you to have a deal with Nike," and I was like, "Nike?" He said, "What about it?" "Yeah, Nike." Like, and
just do it.
And I was like, not their slogan, but
that's so funny.
Yeah, but within his first 2 months in his field of work, he started off as a web developer with zero knowledge,
like no idea.
Yet somehow he was able to afford his nice beach house in Seattle, literally right on the beach. I'm like, how is he affording these things when he has no knowledge in the field that he's working in? And so what he explained to me was, you don't have to have it. As long as you know how to delegate tasks and push a team.
This is kind of blowing my mind right now. So I'm not gonna lie, because I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So what he did was he paid a team. And you don't always have to have the most money. You can. So here's what he did. He gave these people contracts of what he was going to pay them, had them go out and do the work. He got the clients. He was the middleman. So he talked to the clients. He said, I'll charge you this rate. I'll do this, 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 and this for you. Give me a month and you'll have your product. He took the money. He went and hired a team, paid them a portion of what he was paid, kept the middle money, got the work done, got them their product.
Oh my God.
Made his money.
Your uncle's living life on easy mode.
He built.
That's genius.
He built an entire business based on being a middleman and doing no footwork. The only thing he did was network. He got the clients. He pushed this idea. He gave them a rate. They went for it.
I was going to say, this reminds me of this one. I saw this one video on TikTok. I don't talk about these random TikToks a lot, but it really, a lot of times, it sparks these ideas for me personally. And this one guy was like, the difference between a genius, like not a genius, but genius as a quality and talent as a quality is that geniuses hit a target that no one can see, and talents hit the target in the center every single time very easily. That's the difference. Like, people don't see the target. Like, how the hell are you gonna? But they're just like, no, just trust me. And then eventually they like.
But you know how earlier when we were discussing networking, I said to find out what your demographic is and play that to your advantage. He not only does that, but he does the complete opposite. So when I was in Seattle visiting for a month out there, and I was working with him, getting to see what he does on the daily with his business and things like that, I asked him, do you think that your demographic puts you at a disadvantage given the field you're in? Like, you're a Black man in tech. It's a majority. I mean, there's not a lot of Black men in tech. And so I was saying, like, how do you feel that you make, that you network or that you make connections with different people? And he said, I think it plays to the best of my advantage. So he had gone to this private event of investors. He thought it was going to be like a large private event. There was only 6 investors and 5 people looking to be invested in, so really small. Most of the people there were dressed relaxed, like it was just a little meeting. He came in a suit. He's a tall man, tall, handsome Black man, buff. And so he said, I walked into the conference like I owned it, like it was mine, like I was running it. Walked around, shaked everybody's hand. Hi, I'm Jamal. Nice to meet you. Hi, hi. Like he walked around like he owned the room. And people were like, wow, who's this guy? Wow. Like, oh, he just looks so. And people were impressed by his energy and by the way that he approached them and the situation. And he got exactly what he wanted. He got exactly what he wanted and some. So even though that's not his demographic, he can play his demographic to his advantage. He's confident. He's like he was saying, I'm handsome. I'm handsome as you see me. Like I'm gonna walk into a room, they gonna love me. Like he has that confidence and it works for him. And so I would say finding things that work for you, and just being capable. Like not even like more like just like we were talking about, not being able to do the thing, but finding out a way to get it done. So I would say that he just thinks beyond the situation and finds ways to get what he wants without actually having to do the groundwork, I guess.
That's really
super
inspiring,
interesting.
actually.
I've always heard stories of like, oh, as long as like you're confident, you walk into the room, like you own it, like you can get anything you want. But like, it's like when hearing it before, I was like, it's just a story, like whatever. But like after like 3 years of trying to like start something and like inching towards like my goal real slow, I'm like, okay, maybe these like stories, I should try them out, because like doing it how I've been doing it is like it's way too slow. I can't like keep,
Yeah.
I don't know, like I feel like for every talent, it needs to like be backed up by uh someone who's like just good at networking.
I
I
think
don't know how else to explain it.
I think eloquence and how you present yourself really play a huge role in the success of what you're trying to do. Like for me, for example, I've every interview that I've ever done, I've always gotten the job. And I'm always very confident about it. Like I go in there like I know I'm gonna get the job. And not even in a sense of being like, I'm gonna get this, like being cocky about it, but having confidence and showing people that you're confident and letting them know that you're capable and that you want to grow in this field and that you can benefit them in some kind of way, they'll go for it. Because, I mean, think about what you would choose. Would you choose someone that's really timid, not sure of themselves, presenting an idea like, well, I mean, if you invested in me or if you let me be a part of your team, I can do this for you. Or someone that's saying, when I become a part of your team, I will do this, this, and this. So it's all about how you approach a situation, how you present yourself. Because, I mean, I would say present yourself in a way that you want someone on your team to present themselves to. So what is the ideal person that you would like to be on your team? Kind of instill that into yourself. Kind of become that person.
Yeah.
In any situation. So know what situation you're going into, but also, even if it's just a persona or a facade, it'll work. It'll work. Like when they say confidence is key, you really have to like put that into action to really see how much it works.
I feel like a lot of it has to do I feel like a lot of it has to do with how much you trust yourself. And I noticed, at least for me personally, I have to build that trust with myself. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't trust myself that much, you know? And you can't have confidence without building trust for yourself. And I feel that that's where the confidence and that's how you'll be that's where the confidence comes from, and that's how you'll be able to apply it in these types of situations. So I know I'm not the best at it, but I always encourage other people to build kind of like you were saying, a portfolio, but not just a creative portfolio, just a general portfolio of experience and learned soft and hard skills, so that you trust yourself. You're like, no, I know I'll be able to like make it through this no matter what it is. Like I will figure out a way to execute my idea because look at all the stuff I've done. Like you have proof for yourself basically, which I think is really, really important.
It's important to have that trust and confidence in yourself, but you gotta do the work as well. It I think how your uncle goes about it, where he's kind of like presented with an opportunity, does everything he can to secure that opportunity, and then does the work, is super smart.
But it's
But
also not the most stable for people who don't have the best trust
Exactly.
within themselves. And so for someone in that situation, I would say be very selective in the projects that you choose to take on. I would say not to put yourself in too deep of a situation where you are expected to do this thing and you really don't trust yourself to do it and you know you're not going to get it done. That would be like irresponsible. But if it's something like, oh, I've never done anything in this field, but I know that I could learn it, go for it. It's all about the level of confidence you have in yourself to do that thing. Um, but obviously, if it's something that takes years of like research and um,
I really enjoyed talking about it here with you because you kind of brought a new perspective that it's like you know it, but you don't really like know it until you talk about it. Networking and then bringing it a step further into like, okay, I'm presented with an opportunity now what? And like how to kind of go about that and present yourself in that way. I don't know. I'm still stuck on when your uncle said, okay, you're gonna get a deal with Nike. And it's like, is it like what? I'm trying to think like if I was him who said that, would it be because you're like kind of forcing the person to like put in their all and they'll learn the most that way, even though they might not like get to the goal? Or like, did he actually want you to get to that
oh
goal?
no, he actually wanted me to get to that goal.
Okay.
So for him, he is a very unique person. Like I will never fully be able to pick his brain and understand him, but something he said to me was, he said, I want you to fully understand my thinking to the point where you won't even have to come to me with questions because you know what my answer will be. Um, he was so like he is so confident in his beliefs that I'll be his protege, but I don't think so. I personally don't think so, but I trust that he has that goal for me, but also at the same time, I need to build that mental strength within myself to be like, I can do this. Because I've seen him do it. He reached out to BMW, like, for one of his businesses that's like freshly new, like just started, the way that he can propose an idea without that much on his portfolio give in this particular business, the fact that it was successful is just so inspiring because it's like all it took was networking, all it took was an idea.
Yeah.
So I think that was really inspiring for me. And in the future, I definitely will reach out to bigger brands and networks because it's possible. Like that just showed me that it is possible. Like when
Yeah.
he said it to me, I was like, "You're joking." Like I didn't take it seriously, but he was like, "I'm not joking." Like 3 months, you have 3 months, and so I was like, "Wow." It's definitely intimidating, but just go for it.
This is one of the questions that I had, like in the jumpstart questions that we wrote down. How do you like create your goals like for yourself, and what are like your main struggles when it comes to either creating them or executing them? Because I know I kind of struggle in that region sometimes when it comes to certain things. But I know that being goal oriented when you're in business is very, very important. So, what is your like perspective?
I would say when it comes to my goals and like direction, I would say I start off with short term, medium term, long term, and make sure that every action I take is towards that goal. So, for example, I have here my entire, so I use this database called Slack, and there are immediate tasks that you need to do, and then there are tasks that can wait a little bit, and then tasks that are backlogged. So tasks that are backlogged, they're like long term, like Nike deal would be on the backlog because that's like a large goal. That's a big picture goal. But then there are smaller things like website assets or like integrating Google Analytics. So the really, really small things that I don't have the most knowledge in, I would say would be a goal. So, and then what was the
The
second
second
half?
half, I was just asking, like, how do you, like, what are your struggles when it comes to, like, creating / executing your goals?
Okay. I would say my struggles, my personal struggles, I would say is procrastination, number one. So I procrastinate, like that's just something that I do. Um, and I think I do that the most in these spaces that I'm not familiar with. So, for example, I'm in charge of finalizing a pricing chart for our NFTs and what we want our rates to be per NFT, and like different memberships and things like that. And just because that's not something I'm familiar with, like I don't know how much a spaceship NFT should go for versus a gold space, like a bronze versus gold. Like I don't know what the balance there should be, or like figuring out, or like, so I also am in charge of, so those kind of things are intimidating for me. So I'm like, those are the things I procrastinate on. So I would say that's a setback for me. And then that just ties back into the confidence thing, like just go for it, learn as you go. You don't have to know these things, but I would say that that's a struggle for me. Um, like we also have a video game for that. I know nothing about video design. Like I myself am not designing the video game, but I still have to lead that and the direction it's going. So it takes a lot of creativity, and that's also a setback for me because I want to do the best that I can do. So I'm like picking my brain for all of these things, but I also have 10 other tasks that I'm trying to figure out. So I'd say how I go about that is I do it one by one. I can't like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and this today. I'm like, no, I need to focus on this today. Like, what do I need to get done the soonest? Let me work on it, and learn as much as I can as I go, because I am a procrastinator. So
Yeah, I was looking into this thing on how to kind of manage your goals, tasks, and responsibilities, both short term and long term. And it's a method called, what is it? Sand, gravel, rock, stone, stuff like that. And like the sand is like the stuff that's like not as important, and then like the bigger the object, the more important it is and more attention it needs, I guess. um I get so like overwhelmed, and just having a system to organize makes a big difference, and you can finally see some progression, even if it's like literally just inching forward. But
just being able to check those things off of a list is always like like a mental weight lifted off of my shoulders, I guess. So I would say I use this app called ClickUp, and you can have different tasks in different window or different cards. And so once you're done with something, you can put that into, I guess, a window that's finished. And then you have obviously like things that are like on stew or backlog, meeting notes, documentation, have different just different fields like in progress, review tasks. It's always good to have organization within all of your tasks so that you can see what you need to do, what you've gotten done. I think that's been the most helpful thing for me rather than just having it in my mind. So just kind of using all of these platforms to your advantage.
yeah, no, definitely.
I'm learning so much from this conversation.
Sorry, I know.
But yeah, I am so happy that you were finally able to come on, because we rescheduled this like so many times. But I'm so Like,
I
thank
know,
you
I'm
so
so
much for
sorry.
coming on with us and sharing like your perspective, because I feel like I learned a lot from this conversation. Like, obviously, I've known you for a while. Like, you've always been really inspiring to me
Yeah.
personally, because like when you tell me stories and stuff, like, wow, like she's so like intelligent and like I don't know. I gotta get like you. I gotta get like you.
I was also gonna like ask super, super quick. Do you think having someone like your uncle kind of like present themselves as like a mentor, or not so much as like a guide tour, but like just someone to have
I was
as a
gonna ask that too.
resource? Do you
That's so
think that
funny.
put Yeah, do you think that puts you like at an advantage?
I would say yes and no, or yes and it depends, because you can give someone as many resources as you can, but it's always up to them to use
Yeah.
them. And so I would say that you can get resources and networks and contacts anywhere. Like, it doesn't matter where you are. Social media is the number one platform for networking. And so I would say everyone has the same equal amount of opportunity to network, but also, for example, he could give me someone's contact that could immediately put me in a better position within my business or fund me this amount that I need. But it's up to me to propose
Exactly.
my ideas and present myself a certain way. Because, I mean, he can always give me their contact, but it's all about what I choose to do with it. And so I would say, like, for example, he's left me the task of networking to different people that could help our business, and I've done that successfully on my own. All he did was say, go out and find some people, network, and try to get them to come. And I've done that. But he's also given me people's emails or invited me to these Zooms and network events and things like that. So I would say yes, and it depends. Because, like I said, you can always give somebody something, but it just depends on what they do with it. So, yeah.
That's
That's
a
true.
really nice thing to like
That's a good answer.
sum up. Pretty much, you gotta take the opportunity that you're given and make it your own. That's the way I see it.
I was gonna say thank you so much for,
Yes.
coming on and taking some time, even after all the rescheduling
Oh my
and
god, yeah.
the canceling, and I'm really sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I really enjoyed this conversation, and like I know Ray just said herself she's learned a lot and it was very inspiring. It's given me some like things to think about, especially like the trying to reach out to people and kind of presenting myself and putting myself and my idea in a place where that network that I do create, they could end up helping me. So hopefully,
Yep. I
you
know what
know,
I need to do now.
I've got the motivation from the conversation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, of
Thank you
course.
for having me.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to this week's episode. We hope you all enjoyed, and big thank you to Destiny for coming on. Make sure to follow me and Saint socials, rage.central, st.central. And with that, I'll see you guys next time, or we'll see you guys next time.
I guess you wonder where I've been. I searched to find the love within.